Hey guys! Today I'm here to address biphobia in the fandom because it's becoming a really big problem at the moment, and I think there are a lot of misconceptions with biphobia and what it is that people might not realise, so I thought I'd address everything now. If you're in the fandom and you haven't been living under a rock, then you probably know what's been going on with Dan recently and the fact he's got a lot of hate on the internet. I made a video about that on my second channel, which I'm going to link below, so I thought I'd do like a talky video about the situation because I've tweeted about it and I've edited a video about it, but I thought I wanted to address it here so I can just get things off my chest, because you can't say very much in tweets, so I thought it was important to say it on this channel. So this problem's been going on for a while, not even since the latest video. It's been going on in the fandom for years, that whenever Dan is going to announce something or he's talking about a big video or a big thing coming up or a big announcement, something like that, everyone decides it's a coming out video with no reason to decide that. And he doesn't have to make a coming out video. Nobody does. I didn't make a coming out video. I mentioned my sexuality online casually in an updates video. I have recently come out as bi. Thank you, car horn. I have recently come out as bi. As I said, I've been questioning for a while. See, that wasn't an official coming out video, but I mentioned my sexuality, and that's fine. People can say as much or little about their sexuality as they want. They don't owe you their sex life or their information about their sexuality, information about their sex life, what they do in bed, blah blah blah. No one owes you that, and he can say as much or as little about it as he wants. But every time he has a big video coming up and people for some reason decide what it is, what they think it is, and then it's not a coming out video, they get really angry with him and entitled and accuse him of making drama happen or queer baiting or doing things for views or something like that, and it's just really homophobic and stupid. So when his internet support group video came out, I think it was internet support group 9, and everyone had a go at him because he said a really big video was coming soon, and he released the video and it was just internet support group and they got upset. He actually said in his live show, the live show everyone was talking about where he said a big video's coming soon, he said not the next one, the one after.
I started making one and then I was like, nah, I'll do that next, and then made another one. Because, as I said in the last time, I'm weird like that.
So when everyone got upset for him saying it was a big video but it wasn't a big video, that wasn't even accurate. He said the next one was the big one, and the next one was actually, I think, his rebranding, which is a really big thing. A rebrand, if you are a social media personality, if your job is on social media and your news is that you're going to change everything on social media, it's not a career change, but it's something that affects your career. It's a big thing. If you change your Twitter handle and your YouTube channel and all of these things, and his branding includes the type of content he does as well, he was changing the type of content he does as well, it's a big announcement, and he has the right to say it's a big announcement. That's not queer baiting or leading people on. It's a bigger announcement than, by the way, I do this in bed, or by the way, I'm attracted to this type of person, because that doesn't even affect your career, how you live your life, and it doesn't affect your content unless you make content about queer things or whatever. Other than that, it doesn't affect anything or anyone. He was right to label that as a big announcement or a big important video, and people misunderstood and gave him hate for it, and it's just a sense of entitlement in the fandom. That's one example of it, but it's gone back years, and stuff that's happened recently is like the tip of the iceberg to all the things that are going on, have been going on for ages. So a lot of you are probably thinking, if someone wants someone to come out, if someone supports bisexuals, if someone thinks being bi is good, if someone thinks being gay is good, if someone thinks being pansexual is good, how can that be blah blah phobic because they're supporting it? But you can support things for the wrong reason. Some men support lesbians because they think it looks hot but don't care about their rights. Some women are attracted to gay men and think it's hot or whatever, but they don't actually care about them unless it's a sexual way, or unless the guy's being their cute gay best friend and being like a token something, which isn't the same as being an equal human being. You know what I mean? It's problematic, to say the least, and I think a lot of people have glossed over the issue that happens with anyone who isn't monosexual. So I'm including bisexual and pansexual and everything in this. I'm going to say bisexual right now, because that's what I identify as, and you know that I'm including pansexuals in this as well. A lot of people within this fandom and, well, the fandom, Dan and Phil's fandom, and in any group of society might think it's really great if someone is bi, including other things, if they're with someone of the same sex that this particular person's attracted to, and they're like, oh yeah, those two are hot, those guys together, they look so good together, they're hot, and then they'll be thinking sexual things about it for whatever reason, and they'll support that. But then if the guy who is perceived to be bi has a girlfriend, that's wrong. Or I'm not into that, therefore it's bad, or it's not like cool and interesting, like two guys being together, two girls being together, wow, that's cool and interesting. But if a bisexual is with someone of the opposite sex and it's like a normal relationship, that's bad. Which is something really weird about biphobia, because you think of same-sex couples as having a really hard time, and homophobia is a huge thing, but sometimes, because homophobia is a huge thing and being gay is seen as sinful or whatever, people see it as exciting. And only supporting bisexuals if it's palatable to you, if they look good, if they're in a relationship with the opposite sex, or if they're only in a relationship with the same sex, only supporting them under certain circumstances is biphobia, because you are accepting them within certain conditions. It's not an unconditional, I accept you because you're fine, it's only if it's palatable to me, which is not okay. We don't exist to be playthings or toys for straight people to enjoy. That's not what queer people are. Any queer people should be given equal rights and respected equally, not seen as something for cis-het people to enjoy. I just adjusted the angle, it looked a bit weird. A lot of you might be thinking, well, Amy, you talk about shipping and smut and you read fan fictions and you're bad and you do these things. But that's different to imposing that on a real person. You can read something and be like, oh, that's hot, but it's fiction. As long as you're not showing the person it's about and making them feel uncomfortable, then I don't see a problem with that. People should be able to enjoy something that is fiction without forcing that fictional situation on a real person. So Dan has made his video. As we all know, it was a video about his depression, and it was a kind of update to the depression video where he talked about wanting to find happiness. I found it really inspiring, and he is clearly someone who's against bullying and has been doing a lot of things to help people's mental health, and the fandom have been like, oh Dan, you support people's mental health, you stop cyberbullying, you're a good person, blah blah blah. So he does this video about that kind of topic, and then he makes one sexual joke that he sucks dick. Wow, what a shock. And the internet goes mad, not just because people are like homophobic and they think gay sex is wrong or something. It was a shock that he said it, because he hasn't acknowledged that kind of thing before. I feel like it might have been scary to decide to disclose something like that about yourself, because as of yet he's only really talked about having crushes on guys like celebrities, which is not the same as saying, yeah, I have sex with someone and we do it like this. You know, it's a big step to take. And yes, it was a funny joke because he's Dan. He addresses serious situations in a funny way because that's how he deals with things. It's his way of doing things, it's brilliant, it's hilarious, we love him. I love him anyway, even if other people don't. And it was one joke in another important video. He doesn't need to make like a coming out video that's a formal, like, official thing for him to be LGBT. He might not identify as anything on the LGBT, he might identify as everything on the spectrum. I don't really care. I know he doesn't like labels, that's fine, but with whatever his label is, he doesn't have to make a specific video for it. I'm going to show you what Connie, aka Noodlerella, said about the same thing, because she's made some really good points about this, and when this video came out, when her video came out, I did think of Dan, even though it was before all this recent stuff. I'm just gonna bring that clip up because I can't remember it completely, and I'll talk about that.
We seem to be stuck in this strange place on YouTube where you are straight until you make a coming out video. It doesn't matter how much you openly talk about the things you do with girls or boys or whatever online, you are straight until you make a coming out video.
Thank you, Connie. She was pretty clear there, and I completely agreed with everything she said when that video came out, because what she said was, you're considered straight until you've made a coming out video. And Dan would say in a video, oh yeah, Evan Peters, my crush, and people would be like, but he still could be straight, it could be a man crush. Like, what is that? A man crush, when a man has a crush on a man? How is that straight? That's the least straight thing. But people would say, oh no, it's like he's his man crush Monday, but like, he could be straight. And it was like straight people were clinging on to the idea that someone could be straight, as if it was all their hopes and dreams. And it's just so LGBT phobic. And it's very phobic of that, to hear somebody say, like if I said, oh, I have the biggest crush on Hayley Williams, she's so hot, I'd love to marry her. There's a poster of her up there, I don't know if you can see it. Hayley! But if I said that, and people were like, well, she could be straight, it could just be like a really platonic crush, it could be this, it could be that, it could be her hormones, her age, her this. That doesn't even make sense because I'm not a teenager, but people say it about teenagers as well. And people are grasping for the fact that this person could be straight. That's not helpful or realistic. And why are you so desperate for someone to be straight? Some people aren't. Some people are gay, Stephen. Deal with it. I once said on Twitter that the fandom was biphobic, and which is my experience of the fandom and of a lot of Twitter, and some guy decided to mansplain to me that it wasn't my experience, and he was like, this is 2016 or whenever it was, there is no biphobia, and I was like, okay, continue to tell me what I have and haven't experienced. But I do feel like that's people's opinion, even if they're not like mansplaining it to you like that. People are like, well, people in this day and age like the gays, so it's fine. But deciding you're kind of okay with someone being LGBT, but like you'd rather they were straight, or you only like it if they're LGBT if it's sexually attractive to you and it's like for your own sexual appetite or whatever, is phobic. LGBT phobic, it is biphobic, it is homophobic, it is not okay. People generally refuse to believe that someone is LGBT unless they have made a coming out video, as Connie said, which is completely heteronormative because it's deciding that straight is the normal thing and everyone is the normal thing until they announce otherwise. I don't know what they thought happened before YouTube. Were there no LGBT people before coming out videos existed? It doesn't make any sense. And nobody has to make a coming out video if they don't want to. Some people want to express themselves in a different way. I did. I did not feel like making an announcement. I thought it felt heteronormative. I thought it felt forced to be like, people, I'm different. I have a big announcement. I don't know why it's worth a video. For some people do really good coming out videos and get all their feelings out, and it's really important for them to do that, but for some people, they just don't have that much to say. Dan has mentioned liking guys before, so I think we should decide that he likes guys. He can also like girls. He's mentioned girls before, but I don't know why people, particularly people in the fandom, get so upset if you suggest that he might like both, because why would that be a bad thing? After the recent stuff with Dan, this guy tweeted this. I'm not saying Dan Howell isn't gay, but does his whole audience not know that you can give head to girls too? His comment was that he likes having sex and have something going in and out of his mouth. He never used the word head. He didn't say, hey guys, I give head, which if he did say, that would be fine. I'd be like, woo, go you, because it's great to be sexually liberated. But he didn't say that. He said something goes in and out of his mouth. He was really clear about what kind of thing goes down, oh my god, what kind of thing happens. Because I think he wanted to just let people know. Like, he's been secretive about it for a while, he's been fairly open about it for a while, and now he just seems to be going fully open with it. Good for him. And he even included it in the tweet. I'm finding more things to put in my mouth, which, like, I think he just really wanted us to know. Like, he wants everything out in the open, fair enough. He didn't use the word head, he said things going in and out of his mouth. So this guy's saying, doesn't he know that you can give head to girls too? What he means is people with vulvas, I'm not excluding anyone. He said girls, I'm saying people with vulvas cannot put their sexual parts fully into someone's mouth and take them in and out. I didn't think I'd be doing that action on my channel. People with vulvas can't do that. It's clear he's talking about a penis. I'm not saying it's a woman with a penis, a transgender man with a penis, a non-binary, agender person. I don't know what this person identifies as, but he's saying, I mean, we know it's Phil, but he's saying that it could be a person with a vulva. Yes, because vulvas definitely go in and out of people's mouths. I don't think you understand how vulvas work. Twist any situation to make out a person is straight, even if it's physically impossible. They will believe the impossible because they prefer that to believing that someone is queer. I'm not being crude. I am being crude, I'm talking about sex, but I think it's okay to talk about sex. Don't tell YouTube that we're talking about sex. But, if he was putting his mouth to someone's vulva, that's valid and fine. I wouldn't be against that because I'm not biphobic. It's fine for him to, like, penis and also, like, vulva. Nothing wrong with that, but he clearly implied penis. If people would rather believe in their mind, completely change how part of someone's body works within their mind to something that makes no sense just because they don't want to think of someone as queer, that person is homophobic. So obviously after his video came out where he made one dick joke, yeah, okay, he sucks dick, good for him, we shouldn't care. Some people, a lot of people were happy about it and were like, woo, I can't believe that. And then he did his live show, and I think people were like waiting for him to clarify it and go into detail and admit his sexual orientation and label himself. I wasn't really aware that people had this view. I was just like, oh, this is going to be a good live show. But I think people were expecting, like, that wasn't enough of a coming out for them. He needs to label himself. He needs to put himself in a neat little box for them so that they can understand him, which he's already said he doesn't do.
What the fuck even is your sexuality? It's hard to put you in a box when you keep it so blurry.
So give up any hope of that. So anyway, I enjoyed the live show. He addressed the dick joke briefly. He didn't hover over it for ages and go on about it for ages. He didn't want to, I'm guessing. Good for him, he doesn't have to. I say good for him a lot. But he addressed it briefly and then moved on. He didn't brush it under the carpet, he didn't backpedal, which is what people are accusing him of. Oh, he was backpedaling. He addressed it briefly and then moved on, and then talked about the arse thing. Well, the original joke was meant to be arse, and then he changed it to something, and then it sounded like he meant dick, and it sounded even more crude, but he doesn't really mind. And he finished with saying that some people liked the serious content, some people only liked the jokes, and some people enjoyed the dick comments, and he's not shaming anybody for any of that. People can enjoy what they want from the video as long as they enjoy it and get something out of it. He doesn't mind. I think he's really diplomatic and respectful to his audience. I kind of agree with what he said, like, if you got something from the video, that's great. So it stopped recording and I lost some because I talk too much. So the issue is people feeling entitled to other people's business. And some people respond to that like, well, he said it, he made the comment, he made a joke, obviously people are gonna hear it and want to know and need to know someone else's information, and they don't, honestly. They don't. They might want to know information because they're nosy, but they don't need it to understand this person. What this person, when I say this person, I mean anyone. What anyone does in the bedroom doesn't affect their entire life. It doesn't affect their career, it doesn't affect their personality, it doesn't affect how they treat people, which are the things people allegedly love about Dan, but they're bullying him, so that they don't love it that much. And honestly, it's so disappointing because I see this fandom as a group of people who are open to different sexualities and genders, and they're encouraged that Dan's against bullying and it's bad, and obviously there's always bullying and drama in the fandom, but I always think of that as like a small minority and most people are fine. And then you see the same people attack someone because they implied that they're not completely straight, but they didn't give me all the information and label themselves and tell me this and that. And it's like, the person can tell you as much as possible or as little. If someone wants to imply something, go a certain way, and then like sort of confirm it in a video and then not go into great detail, that's fine. It's not an all or nothing situation. These people, I feel, would rather he was made to like stay in the closet or whatever than gave them information that was vague or less than they think they're entitled to, and they're not entitled to it. And it really upsets me to see LGBT people or queer people or whatever treated like this by people who are allegedly their allies. I think we've got a long way to go if people are considering themselves allies, but they'll get upset with someone and tell them their sexuality's fake because of being a bit vague in a video or being shy or allegedly backpedaling. It's just really entitled and biphobic, and I don't like it. So I just wanted to say all that about the situation. I know there's this stereotype that if you're in the fandom, you're like really into what guys get up to together and writing smut about it, and you're like really horny or whatever, and that must mean that you're accepting of people's rights, but that's not necessarily the case. As I said, I'm not against people writing, drawing, whatever the situation is. As long as they're not promoting something that's illegal, I don't care. People can read and write what they want. I'm not saying, oh, these people are degrading to the gays. I don't really care as long as you're not reading fictional situations and then forcing them on a real person. That's where you cross the line, where you've taken a fictional situation that's like your fantasy and tried to force someone to make it reality by trying to force them to come out, or trying to impose your own prejudices and labels and ideas onto that person who clearly doesn't want labels and attention and fuss and should just be left alone. I hope you found this video interesting. Please let me know what you think about all the drama in the comments. If there's anything you disagree with or agree with, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!